Steam rises from the marble basin, swirling through shafts of pale light in the empty Roman bathhouse. The mosaics beneath reflect distorted images in the still water, beauty broken into fragments, yet somehow still beautiful. This is where the hardest question lives. How do you leave someone you love without letting that love turn into poison? The philosopher Posidonius understood something most of us discover too late. He taught his students about the inner garden, what you cultivate when no one is watching. And in that garden, he said, grows either the medicine that heals separation or the poison that destroys everything you once held sacred. Today, as relationships dissolve faster than ever and digital platforms amplify every grievance, we need this ancient wisdom more than ever. Not the shallow advice to let it go or move on, but the deeper practice of leaving without hatred. The most difficult discipline in human experience.
First principle: understand what belongs to you.
Posidonius taught that in every separation, there are only two territories, yours and theirs. Your territory includes your choices, your response, your character, your future peace. Their territory includes their choices, their feelings, their path forward, their reasons for leaving or staying. Most people spend their energy trying to control the other person's territory. They demand explanations, fight for closure, insist on being understood. But Posidonius knew that this path leads to poison. When you try to control what isn't yours, you corrupt what is yours. Your dignity becomes manipulation. Your love becomes possession. Your pain becomes their responsibility. Modern neuroscience confirms what Stoics intuited. When we focus on changing others, our brain's stress response stays permanently activated. We become addicted to the drama, the argument, the hope that this time they'll finally understand. But in his private garden, Posidonius cultivated something different. The radical acceptance that some doors close forever, and your peace cannot depend on keeping them open. Second principle: protect the love from your own anger. The Stoics made a crucial distinction between love and attachment. Love wants the best for another person, even when that means letting them go. Attachment wants to possess, to control, to make their choices about your comfort. Posidonius watched many students struggle with this. They would say, "But I love them so much it hurts." He would reply, "Then you love them too little." True love, he taught, includes the courage to release someone when holding on causes suffering. This doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means caring enough to stop making their freedom about your pain. In today's world, where social media makes every breakup public and every grievance shareable, this wisdom becomes even more essential. The temptation to tell your story, to get sympathy, to prove you were wronged, all of this turns love into poison. Not because the pain isn't real, but because broadcasting pain changes its nature. Private grief can heal. Public grievance becomes a performance that traps you in victim identity. Third principle: choose your legacy in their memory. Posidonius asked his students a penetrating question. When they think of you in 5 years, what do you want them to remember? The person who fought bitterly for the last word? The one who tried to punish them for leaving? Or the one who loved them enough to let them go with grace? This isn't about being noble for its own sake. It's about understanding that how you leave someone becomes part of who you are forever. The habits you practice in separation, revenge or restraint, bitterness or blessing, these habits shape every relationship that follows. Of Cato's divorce from Marcia. Instead of a bitter legal battle, he arranged her marriage to his friend Hortensius, recognizing that their incompatibility didn't make her a bad person or him a failure. Years later, after Hortensius died, Cato remarried Marcia. Their love had survived because it never turned to poison. Fourth principle: guard your inner narrative.
The stories we tell ourselves about separation determine whether we heal or fester.
Posidonius warned against 3 toxic narratives: the victim story, "They ruined my life"; the villain story, "They're evil, selfish, wrong"; and the rescue story, "If only I do X, they'll come back." Each of these narratives gives your power away. The victim story makes your healing dependent on their apology. The villain story makes your peace dependent on their punishment. The rescue story makes your worth dependent on their return. Instead, Posidonius taught his students to practice what he called clean narrative, seeing events without the emotional interpretation that creates suffering. We were together, now we are apart. Both chapters had value. This chapter is ending, so the next can begin. In 2026, as humanity faces unprecedented challenges requiring resilience and mental clarity, this practice becomes crucial. We cannot afford to poison ourselves with old grievances when new possibilities require our full attention and energy. Fifth principle: use separation as spiritual training. The deepest teaching of Posidonius was this: every ending is an opportunity to prove what you're made of, not to others, but to yourself. Can you love without possessing? Can you grieve without blaming? Can you release without destroying? The Roman bathhouses where philosophers once gathered were places of purification, not just physical, but spiritual. The steam that rises, the warmth that soothes, the water that cleanses, all metaphors for what separation can become when approached with wisdom instead of reactivity.
True strength isn't staying in relationships that no longer serve.
True strength is leaving in a way that honors what was beautiful while accepting what has ended.
This requires the highest form of self-discipline, governing your response
When everything in you wants to fight, punish, or cling. The water in the marble basin reflects the truth Posidonius knew. Beauty can be broken and still be beautiful. Love can end and still be love. People can leave and still have given you gifts that no departure can take away. When you leave without turning love into poison, you discover something remarkable. The space that opened in your life wasn't empty, it was full of possibility. The energy you would have spent on resentment becomes available for growth. The peace you protected by restraining your anger becomes the foundation for deeper connections ahead. This is the garden Posidonius spoke of, not a place, but a practice. What you cultivate in the soil of separation determines whether you become bitter or wise, smaller or larger, closed or open to love again. The steam settles in the empty bathhouse, the water grows still, and in that stillness lives the deepest wisdom. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away with grace, leaving poison behind and carrying only what was true. If this moved you, comment "The Citadel holds" below. It is our sign that you carry the philosophy with you.